Okay, we are on full blast. We are on battery power, but we are here. And welcome back, everybody. I'm broadcasting from Taormina, Sicily, which is a stunning, look at that, a stunning city if you've never been. My first time in Sicily. Welcome back. Artist Journal, October 24th, 2023, broadcasting to the world from Taormina, Sicily. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and welcome back. And you know, the newspaper of the imagination here at the editor's desk on the pirate ship of the mind, the newspaper of the imagination, it's such a difficult decision sometimes what to start with. I had to go with this. I mean, there were three easy candidates that could have just kind of hit it out of the park here. But I went with this, and I think it's just how the evocation of oil painting, and I think it's in this very carefully painted, and I'd argue kind of more, maybe careful is the wrong word, but it's a tighter finish than Bazaya might, and that's not to say one is better than the other, by the way, but just in this gorgeous yellow jersey here, this Lakers jersey, and even the tattoo, it's almost like Bazaya is taking, and of course this is Bazaya, for those that don't know, it's almost like Bazaya is taking almost a bit of an old masters kind of feel to the work here in the carefulness, but still trademark Bazaya. And it's almost like, it's almost like cut out here. And let's just look at the gorgeous color in here too, in this rich, rich orange here. And this is, again, this could have been white. It could have been a gray white. It was done in this beautiful green, almost feeling like trademark color from Bazaya. And you got to love like the roughness that you see in here. There is a little bit of roughness along with the tightness. All to say, the color in this one, even down here, is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. Even the tattoo here, it's just stunning and pretty cool tattoo. It makes you wonder if Bazaya invented that. Not sure. I don't know the reference to the person here. Maybe a lot of you do. Often Bazaya uses pop culture references. Look at that rich red lips there and everything. The great headband. Always super stylish and cool with Bazaya. And we see that here once again. Let's look at the market on this one. And again, it's the color. Again, it feels like it kind of has that richness you find in beautiful Renaissance oil paintings is kind of what this is screaming out at me. So let's just look here. Only 20 Tezos. This is only 20 Tezos. There's 2 left. Incredible. Maybe this is an old tab. Let me just look. 20th of October. This was probably opened a few days ago. I imagine this is sold out by now. Stunner from, shall we do a reload just to check here? Sometimes I keep tabs open for days on my computer just to save myself the effort here. Anyway, maybe the internet is slow here. We might have to check another time. So anyways, all to say, gorgeous work here from Bazaya as I continue to refine the mobile setup here. And this is part of a series, Timeless Freestyle series, Want to Be Your Own Boss. And we've seen quite a few of these. There's Ratcloak, who also had a stunner in the last couple of days here. We're going to look at it in a second. So, Drafted. Cool title, too. Super thrilled and excited to announce on the show here that Tukes is going to be on the Twitter space tomorrow. So that is very exciting. It is a rare appearance. I don't think I've ever heard Tukes speak, but I've seen Tukes in many spaces as an audience participant, so I'm super thrilled that Tukes accepted to be the special guest. So that is going to be one not to miss, just a real pioneer, in my opinion, of what I would, I barely know anything about AI art. I was actually pretty skeptical when I started this show. But as the conversation evolved, I became a convert, and now it's basically a staple of every single show, kind of hit the AI art section. And I have to say, Tukes has really, from my perspective, pushed the limits as time goes on, continues to push and push and never getting too comfortable in a style and so there have been a lot of victories with Tukes. So again, thrilled to have Tukes on Wednesday here. It's going to be with Rune Toon. He's back and feeling good again, so that is also good news. So do check that out if you're interested. And here is just a new work by Tukes for those that might not know. Just brilliant titles here. World of Appearances, kind of metaphysical. Beautiful, beautiful title. An ancient theme going all the way back to Shakespeare and Plato and probably beyond. The classic distinction between appearance and realities, or, in the reference there. And this beautiful abstract work, which Tukes is just kind of knocking off left and right. So big shout out and thank you for the comments last episode. You made Francesca's day. Let me just Paper Doll. Dear Adrian, your enthusiasm for art is contagious. I love how you present intricate concepts in such a clear and unpretentious manner. And I've heard that maybe once before in this entire show. I never get sick of hearing that, to be honest, because, as I like to say, art is real. And there is oftentimes, I generally live in Berlin. And nothing, against, but often you'll go to these very pretentious art talks. And I always think to myself, to me, it shows a lack of conviction in art when people are trying to be too pretentious. Art is a real thing. And so there's no need to pretend. It's a real thing. And that's it's kind of shocking to me sometimes. Crazily enough, you might think putting out 4 shows a week in a Twitter space and then putting out my own art. But I'll never forget, seeing Philip Glass and Robert Wilson's Einstein on the Beach in 2012 in Toronto, which was amazing. And it reminded me that, the avant-garde is a real thing. It's not just some fancy idea of some, amazing, it's a real thing. And that's kind of it shouldn't be a revelation, but sometimes the way art is treated, it can be. So I take a lot of pride in being as unpretentious as possible and just explaining things. So thank you for the comment there. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us. Just things I've come along the way. P.S. I must say, Francesca stands out as a gem in this one, and thank you for that comment. I told Francesca that. I passed on the comment from Paper Doll and Rada to Francesca and literally made her day. I mean, 10 minutes later, she's in the kitchen. Stands out as a gem, she was saying to herself. So much appreciated. That was great. Continuing on. This is Evelyn. Loves Sarah Berman. She makes a Harlequin pattern as an underpainting and then builds up the background, making the great texture and light coming from the background. So thank you, Evelyn, so Sarah Berman is one of these up-and-coming artists we're seeing from the contemporary art world that I was showcasing at the end of last episode. I did a search after on Sarah Berman, and, there was some thought that maybe there was wax on there. Will disposed. I agree with Pocobelli. It sort of has a look of encaustic. I wonder if she paints with wax or if that's an illusion she's creating. So I guess we'd have to see in person. Thank you both for the comments. Rosacio, love your dedication to the show while you're on the road, and thank you for highlighting my work. You're welcome. That massive, I think, 17-meter piece by Rosacio. Skalmra, great show. Thanks for showing one of my works again. Love the Gloom Tube work, which I'd missed, and I appreciate your reference to the Atrocity exhibition preface. It was a treat to track that down. It's online and read the preface. It's very short, too. It's maybe 5 paragraphs. When we're a little more caught up on the show, I actually, if there wasn't that much art, I would be opening that and just let's go through it. I would love to just go through that. So just put that on the shelf to, that is, I intend to come back to that. There was talk, very briefly, there was talk about, 4 or 5, 6 months ago about doing, kind of a series of lectures on the Atrocity exhibition because I did my master's thesis. I basically wrote a book on the Atrocity exhibition. It's a user's guide, to use Ballard's term, and J.G. Ballard is the author of the Atrocity exhibition. And it's basically, his response to Naked Lunch by William Burroughs is kind of one of the many things that are argued. I basically show the how Ballard's influence was more from the visual arts in that novel than from the kind of literary tradition, a word he didn't like, interestingly. So I'll just say, hold that thought, more on this later. And Rada, Cake Artist Rocks, so Nov 1914, indeed. Hi, Francesca. A delightful selection, sir. So again, thank you for the shout out to the cousin. You know, sometimes it's a thankless world out there, and a little thank you here and there can really make people's days. So again, appreciate that. And Grimm, I think we looked at this work a couple of episodes ago, the inverse work, and here's the original. So thanks, Grimm, for showing that. I think this is a stunner. I think this is a collaboration, I believe. I'm not positive on that. Either way, I just think it's a stunner. It's a beautiful contrast that's going on here. So great work there. Interesting question from Retro Manny. Serious question. How has your art evolved since you got into NFTs? I actually think this is a fascinating question because I think it's actually, I've gone basically, and I don't intend to stay 100% digital, but I've gone 100% digital in the last, year, let's say. And I intend to go back to physical, digital first. I've always been digital first since, the iPhone 6S came out, the phone still being the main tool. But I think this is actually a super fascinating question, which actually, in a sense, we don't have time to go into. But stuff like the pixel art sketchbook, just speaking from my own experience, I never would have done without NFTs. Like, I kind of had to discover for myself what pixel art is and then appreciate it and then say, oh, you know what? Like, what would I do? What's my response to something like pixel art? So all to say, it's been a huge influence, and I suspect that's true for a lot of people. Very interesting question. Maybe there should be a space on this. It's just such a great question. I wanted to highlight it. And Delta Sauce with an interesting comment here, I believe AI artist. Biggest takeaway since joining this space has been to stop caring who is selling for what price and just focus on my art and community. There's a lot to be said for this in the sense of, when you stop worrying about the financials, and not everybody can, again, a lot of people live off of this, especially if you're in a poor country. It's more, that's the irony. You could say, like, people are always going to these massive kind of, traditionally, to these Western countries, Berlin, London especially, Paris, New York. The great irony of all that is if you're somewhere, say, in the global south, if you're in some small town in Argentina, it's probably a lot easier to support yourself. It actually becomes a doable thing if you're making, say, $800, it probably becomes a lot more doable, in a month. So it's an interesting, even, Sicily is quite a bit more cheaper, and of course you get certain perks with being in the big city, but there is a liberation in not worrying too much, just, on the financial side, as important as it is. As I like to say, it's the beating heart of this scene and financial incentive. If there's no financial incentive, I don't think we'd have the revolution that I would argue we have. Continuing on, so Transient Labs. So we've been hearing a lot about this show, which is a collaboration between Transient Labs, Art Matter, and all of these artists here. Let's just read a bit of this. Introducing Reflections, an exhibition by Tender Art, Stewards of Generative Art, and Art Matter Co., who we've had on a space, and it was fascinating, showcases a portrait of series by 9 pioneering AI artists. Dive into an extraordinary blend of traditional artistry and modern tech where AI-driven art evolves into physical masterpieces. So we've been looking at this, and maybe we should just open this up. I had one small concern here, and I saw it before, and I wasn't sure if it was just, and maybe I'm not giving it fair, because there's a lot to go through here. But one concern I had was paintings by Art Matter here. Maybe paintings in collaboration with Art Matter, but this looks like a Lily Illo, for example. And I'm kind of big on credit. And I'm not saying they're not giving credit, because I'm sure you go deeper in, I'm sure all the credit is given. But when I see something like this, and I did see it once before, put it this way, I always err on the side of giving too much credit to others rather than not enough. And here I just go, is it the robot? And of course the robot is making the paintings, but who is guiding the robot? So all to say, I have some reservations here, and that's all I'll say. And Art Matter people are awesome, by the way, and they showed up on a space. They didn't have to. And I'd love to work with these guys as an artist, so, but that would just be my 2 cents on that. That kind of stood out to me. But you see, again, very much a revolution here. It doesn't simply reproduce works. Their robotic system intricately layers white oil paint for texture, then applies colored oil with digital precision. I mean, as I said in the space, it's a new way of mark making. And that is no small matter. So, all to say, watch this space. Looks very interesting. And here is, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is rivaling, if not improving on, the painting of humans, I would argue. So, and here are the artists here. Strange Thing. I mean, can we see? That comes out maybe October 31st. So maybe this is the preview. My internet is a little, like, are these painted? I am not sure. I mean, that would be quite something, wouldn't it? So I'm not sure if this is physical painting size, or if this is, I think this is the work, and I'm not sure we've seen the painting yet. Remember the Danielle King work that I thought was the work, but it was the digital preview? Continuing on, Cyber Mystic here. A little bit of the process of the great Cyber Mystic here, the great visionary artist here. And you see, I mean, the hundreds of elements here, the enormous amount of processing power. Look at down there that Marcelo Pinel puts into the works here. I mean, it's stunning. Like, it's like a 3D structure here. So interesting, because again, it makes you think these elements could probably be reused and maybe even make a 3D diorama of sorts. Who knows? But all to say, super interesting to see that. And Rada. So Rada had this ticket that was posted, I think earlier. Was it only October 22nd? I thought I saw this earlier. And this is to a one-use token to claim original one-of-one physical random drawing, stickers from classic Tezos Mints, and more. So here it is. Here are some of the physical works by Rada. So again, a very accomplished artist here. And you see the great kind of watercolor paints there. And so just awesome. They're going to receive a special treat, and for the rest, fear nothing, my friends, Christmas is near. I got to give big shout out to the awesome collectors who've been my backbone on this project, helping it grow and evolve. And I think we have another here. Once in a life, you have the chance to collect a random physical watercolor from your favorite, including encrypted love messages. So look at that. And edition of 23, a magic number. Kind of a, I don't know if I'd call it a mystical number, but it's kind of seen as a magic number a little bit. Probably not accidental there. And again, you just see the dynamism of Rada there. So shout out and cool looking work from Rada. And Spiegel's Maskina, new folder. Awesome title here. Pre-sale soon. And here you see a physical screen, and it's kind of like a light bright kind of screen, but instead of square pixels, I think you get the circular kind of light bright works, kind of like a homemade screen. Kind of reminds me of those Raspberry Pi, mini computers that maybe you'd connect to this. So all looking very interesting from Spiegel's. And check this out. And I think there's, yeah. I mean, how interesting is this? This is Mom of Oiku. So I'm not sure. I should probably kill the music for copyright, but and I just find this super interesting. And look, even the fact that it works too here is also interesting. But even if this was just static, I would be fine this, again, traveling through the mediums, it has an alchemical effect that all of a sudden it becomes completely new, right? Sometimes it's that simple. That's why I'm a fan of tracing, because tracing, it turns it new. Warhol, again, just took these media images that we'd seen before. Coca-Cola made it new. just by kind of making a new version of it through, what you could argue is tracing, maybe using the projector. Roy Lichtenstein, by the way, used the projector a lot. I remember seeing for a mural, Roy Lichtenstein tracing that. So interesting there. Dmitry Martovsky, yesterday's experiments for Inktober. Mix of collage fragments and ink illustrations. And I thought this was just a cool collage here, isn't it? So a cool frog here, and I love the text for the face. So just cool, Dmitry Martovsky. And here, this was interesting, using Lego as a kind of screen print of sorts. And I thought it was actually, this is one of those kind of works you'll see on, look at how good that looks actually. Like it kind of, because you get the errors of the physical world, right? So again, I thought actually, pretty cool. It was kind of like one of those viral videos. Look at that, 712,000 likes. I mean, one of those viral videos you'll find on like Instagram or TikTok or something. But I thought, this is legit. Like, this is pretty cool. So very nice. Now, going into the paintings here, we have a pretty, what I'd consider, well, I was going to say dark, but maybe extraordinarily sober. I mean, it's a dark situation that Ratcloak, who is in Ukraine, is in. And I mean, the numbers that we've seen for the counteroffensive, I think I've seen numbers of 80 to 100,000 people dead in this counteroffensive. This rivals, like, as far as I remember, what do they call it? The war that this rivals like ancient Roman wars. What was the name of the general who a Pyrrhic victory, where these massive Roman, it rivals these massive ancient Roman battles, 80,000 dead. So it just puts it into context, because when you read that, say, I think it's Plutarch, when you're reading that, you think this is insane. That's what's, as far as these are the kinds of reports I'm hearing. Untitled number 523, if the picture seems pacifist to someone, you're wrong. Unlimited respect to all Ukrainian soldiers, especially volunteers who are not afraid to accept death as part of their lives. And it got me thinking. This great artist here, Ratcloak, it got me thinking, super original composition on top of it. Just, again, we're kind of back to this idea of, to talk about the art of it, almost feels kind of preposterous in light of the magnitude of the events that are taking place, and the significance, and the reality. Nevertheless, if Ratcloak is not, doing this, what's left? It's pretty complicated. This whole discussion here of art and war. I don't really want to go back into it, but this evokes it. And you see these figures here, these soldiers with skulls, and maybe Ratcloak or someone looking on in this strange composition here. This almost window-like doorway. Is it a gallery? It almost looks like a gallery of sorts, but maybe outside with the cigarette. Who knows? It got me thinking. As far as the artists who have kind of addressed this war, like Ratcloak, to me, I don't, and I'm sure there's all sorts of artists in the Ukraine who are trying to kind of capture. But for me, maybe it's because it's the only artist I've seen out of the Ukraine that has really kind of full on addressed this war, as far as I understand this work. Ratcloak, put it this way. I guess this is what I was thinking to myself. And again, it might sound crass to bring a market perspective, but when you consider how important, Ratcloak might be in terms of an artist that's portraying this war, and this is being, sold on secondary for a profit of 20 tezos, that's 60 tezos here, $42, only an edition of 10. It seems like these are very reasonably priced and still available. I might pick one up here after this show. So Yeah, and let me just actually zoom in quickly here. We have a million things to get through, but you don't want to shortchange the great Rat Cloak either. You see these beautifully painted works, interesting copies here, maybe repeated here. And we were seeing in an earlier Rat Cloak this use of copy. And Rat Cloak could have very easily changed the teeth here, but decided not to. Decided to go with someone identical, but maybe different lighting, perhaps, or not. Or not. So interesting work here. Again, beautifully painted here, and a sobering work from Rat Cloak. Interesting kind of details and color here. So interesting, again, maybe just the repetition here, the direct repetition, maybe referencing a kind of allusion to the numbers involved and the death involved. Continuing on, De Taste, This Death, The Death and Me. So another work here. Now, De Taste is this sold really well for De Taste. A one of one, again, going at auction for 45 pesos, still actually available. And De Taste, The Long Shadow I See Is My Past, A Paradise of Love That I Lived in the Heart of Hell. So I thought just a really interesting painting, and I think these auctions, De Taste continues to just grow from, I think, a pretty small market. It just continues to grow, and these interesting eyes coming out of the drawed curtains, for lack of better terms, these shades here, the light shade and the car, and kind of nice roughness in here. Interesting work, kind of, trademark for a lot of these artists is using what I call contemporary clothing, the New Balance shoes, and here kind of a dark figure, maybe a bit of a Rat Cloak, potentially. I'm not sure, influence here, not sure, but totally the artist's own as well, and this beautiful brick on the house here. Nice piece, one of one at 45 pesos at auction. Gozo, with another AI artwork, digital collage, and again, stable diffusion materials. So AI is involved here, but then collage, then seriously edited here. And again, these wonderful colors here, these totally novel compositions, different kinds of textures and everything here. Great work from Gozo. These burning tires here, horse, beautiful textures, a variety of textures as well. Great work from Gozo. Another artist that uses Graphica, another artist that uses AI and is heavily edited oftentimes, and kind of painterly, Graphica.png, kind of working seemingly, as you see here, working with the accidents created by AI, and then even here, and then maybe stretched out a bit. Super interesting painting here. The mouth almost covered over by the AI. Again, the pants kind of, I was going to say zeroed out. That's maybe not the right word, but kind of cut out a little bit, repeated. Interesting mark here. Again, it's got the feel of AI, but it is heavily edited. Let's just see what happened here. Reserve of only 0.11 ETH for a Graphica.png. So lots of deals out there to be had for those that are still buying. As we go our separate ways, Luca Ponsato art. So isolation. So Luca Ponsato, artwork generated using P5.js and ChatGPT. I didn't realize. Again, this is a theme we're seeing more and more often, which is where we're seeing we're less and less able to tell, I'd argue, all of us, what is an AI painting and what is not. Like, AI is starting to seep into all of the other genres, I would argue. You even see it a little bit, although it's more obvious with Scamra, with the illustrations, though, right? So here, I didn't even realize, I thought this was just a digital painting made in Procreate. This is an AI art painting. And there's a good title, As We Go Our Separate Ways. So here you see light and dark kind of figures here, and almost like a lighthouse of sorts, and then all the crowds of people, maybe a relationship ending, and this kind of yin and yang, but separated, but only by a little mark here. So beautiful work. Interesting color too. Another artwork, this is straight up digital painting by Yuri J. Sold for zero point 0.2 ETH. Again, it is getting more expensive out there. ETH is going up quite a bit, and as Bitcoin is, we'll see if that lasts. October 23rd, minted on October 22nd, and sold for 0.2 ETH. You keep making, I was looking at Ed Marola's page, you keep making these 0.15, 0.16, 0.2, 0.25 sales. Like, that's real money. That's real money. And again, when you consider the costs of materials for digital artists, it's a nice profit. Like, it's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig. So here is the work, another cool kind of interior by Yuri J, kind of off-kilter perspective. Love the pianos, got the light here. Kind of almost reminds me of Picasso a little bit, the light, as well as this formation of space. And again, playing with kind of filters that no one dare use in Photoshop, perhaps. And I mean, maybe way beyond that at this point. Look at the blur over here. So again, a ton of innovation. And look at even almost like you see like the very flat, it's kind of like very vertical and horizontal, almost pixelated floor here in the popcorn. Like it's movie night. Really brilliant work here from Yuri J. And there's another one which feels like a Pizarro or something, a cousin of a Pizarro. What is this called? Let's just look quickly. Late Night Renovating, sold for 0.16, so basically 0.17. I mean, again, and these probably are selling pretty quickly, and nice kind of light here, beautiful tree. Again, kind of feels like a modern impressionistic work, but it's a digital painting. This is like a digital painting, as we've seen a few already. Very impressive. Rustic digital art, edition of 10 for 10 Tezos. I think this is probably sold out by now. This was loaded on my browser probably a few days ago. Another just really cool, probably from memory, landscape. It's kind of hard. These almost look like greenhouses maybe, and maybe a bit of an agricultural scene, perhaps. Interesting. And look at the cloud here. Just a lot of interesting work, and the beautiful road. This could probably hang well with a Yuri J when it's all said and done. Cruz del Sur, Photoshop and mouse. And this was kind of funny too. This was posted by Rustic Digital Art, fake Uxine times Rustic. So a shout out to Uxine here by Rustic Digital Art, a fake Uxine incorporating the colors and the flashing, and just kind of hilarious. Almost looks like oil. These oil, not tankers, but not drilling for oil. I can't remember what they call it, but a reference to oil there, which is interesting. Kind of cool subject. Look at this, Chiaroscuro. So great text here as ever by Uxine, and incorporating a little bit of shading into the figure here. And then, of course, with the GIF flashing from Uxine. Speaking of Uxine, PP Universal. There is another work here, edition of 5. Kind of has a bit of a medieval theme here. And again, almost seeing the influence of Yuri J after that collaboration, which was that stunning collaboration. I assume we'll see more. Nice piece here from PP Universal, no title. Nov 1914, another cake, torta y mariposas, and so looks like some butterflies and some cherries here. Another beautiful, work, and I have to say, I love this experimentation too with whatever is radiating here behind the cake. And again, Nov 1914, bold artist here. Edition of 5, none sold yet. I may pick up one. 6 Tezos, Nov 1914. I thought this was quite nice too. I don't think I showed this last one. White Flowers, drawing on smaller iPad by Hello IMU or UU on Twitter, 2023 October. So brand new work here, kind of reminiscent a little bit of Hockney, but has its own feeling to it. Again, using that kind of, to me, this is kind of like the native digital paintbrush, the kind of hard contour square brush. I love it a lot. David Hockney, celebrated it. I celebrated it in some of my work, the Screen Memories series. It's kind of, as well as in the Peloponnesian War series, it's kind of a new mark, made by digital, that is like exclusively digital. because of course, if whatever you're using as a marker to try and make that, it's still gonna bleed and whatever. It's so that universal kind of mark opacity, we might say, and edge. It's kind of like the opposite of a Basquiat, where Basquiat goes out of his way to kind of put that extra kind of brush roughness on the edge to give it that kind of poetic look. This kind of brushwork is exactly, you might say, the opposite. It's just that hard contour, but then celebrating that and going with it. So interesting work here. Another interesting work, and got to speed up a little bit, we're already at 35 minutes, by Skazaism, Minimalist Landscape, Minilands 004. This is on exchange.art. Let's see if it loads up properly here. And Solana. I mean, we've seen the token. I'll just leave it small here. We've seen the token Solana is doing really well. So again, as an artist, I think, alpha for artists here, still think it's well worth your while to mint on Solana. I haven't done it yet, but I still want to. It's got a nice feel to that whole chain. A beautiful work here and reference. Henri Matisse, Memory of Oceania, which I'd never seen before. This is by RJ. So here is RJ's work. And again, you see the Pepe reference. I brought up the original, which I'd actually never seen before. So here is the original by Henri Matisse, done near the end of his life here, 1953. And here is RJ. So just slightly changing it, moving this. So pretty brilliant to make a Pepe here. I love this series, the Pepe Pastiche. I don't show a ton of Pepe works, but I mean, when they're great, they're great. So very, very cool work here by RJ as usual. Brilliant pastiche. And this is an edition of 10. And let's just see what happened here. Offers coming in. Drew is fat, who loves RJ, as do I. This was also interesting for the RJ fans out there. After what must have been some extensive digging, Legojo7 has uncovered a secret stash of RJ Halloween pixel art from 2021 and is doing a little giveaway. So here it is. Halloween is coming up, and in celebration, I'll be giving away ancient works of art by RJ. This looks like, maybe how RJ started. I brought up the page here, and I had no idea. And they're kind of a reference, doing the pastiche early, a reference to John with the window there. And to me, like, this is a lesson for everybody out there. Humble beginnings can end up, it's only 2 years. Let's look at the date on this. October 2021, now we're in October 2023. It's only been 2 years, and look at where RJ has gone. So there's hope for all of us. Just get started. Enough preparing, just start making stuff. Continuing on, Ed Marola with actually, this is 3 months ago. Brilliant work, actually, which I'd never seen. You got to love the moving frame. And again, when you make a ton of work, and shout out to, I should have brought this up, Runetoon actually put out a cool tweet referencing the benefits of being prolific. And when you're prolific, you just do tons of experimentation, as Ed Marola is one of the most prolific artists in Web3. And here you see the frame moving around. When you're making a ton of work, why not, right? You don't need to be overly precious. This one, let's make the frame move. So more, this is, I believe, new Crucifix, and this was minted October 6th. I don't think I've seen that. That was in DJ Kuro's friendly integration. Bid was sold for 0.2. I mean, let's see if there's volume on that. No volume. But cool work. And I believe, I thought there was a crucifix. Oh, here we go. Wow. I love these moving works by Ed Marola. Look. And the sound. Just awesome. And look at the like fuzzed out clouds. Let me give you more volume here. I think we still haven't seen the crucifix. Here it is. I mean, so that's about $400 now, $380. Nice sale. Great work. Another work by Ed Marola that I think we missed earlier on, and there's some awesome music here. Let's just see if we can. Let me put it to the start. I mean, there's nothing really like it, is there? So we got a ton to get through here, but I mean, totally rad. 5 Tezos on Object, edition of 16, one left. Get it while you can. And here's another one, October 19th, Underwater Dream of Fish. I mean, this is awesome, too. Again, dreams being Ed Marilla's basically main theme, the unifying sort of thematic across all of Ed's works, and just a totally awesome piece here, celebrating the underwater world. And of course, there was a great Spaces that Runetune and I did with Ed Marilla that actually I need to post. Actually, that stuff's all probably going to be posted this weekend. It is a priority. Continuing on, Low Trippy, Freighter Battle. I thought this was pretty interesting. Just a cool kind of pixel art GIF here. Kind of a sci-fi pixel art GIF here again, but this time by Low Trippy. Pretty interesting, kind of impressionistic in its style. And let's just see what the market is doing on that. 460, I think, on secondary, or 2 left on primary at 460. Interesting price, Low Trippy. Kazuhiro Ehira, Dithersai. I thought this was pretty cool. I think Saiko was mentioning Kazuhiro. Very cool experimental artist. Really, again, takes a lot of risks. Could hang really well with Martin Brooke, actually, and maybe Nuv 1914. Just kind of edgy digital art here. Very nice piece. And of course, Cap'n, you know, easy to love, and here is just a campfire, so maybe a preview of an upcoming work. You gotta love these really horizontal pixels out here, the clouds in the night sky, really horizontal pixels. You see them going up in from the fire, and also these kind of little what looks like almost X's here. Maybe that's a tree, a cactus, who knows. Just beautiful. It's always beautiful. And here's another work, Stare into the Night. I'm not sure if this is an older work. Maybe this is minted on Tezos, not sure. Sometimes Cap'n will release works and hold on to them for months before minting them. Extremely prolific artist out of Costa Rica. Also did a great space with that. That was super interesting. Commanders of the Cosmic Expanse. So this is a new one for sure. Let's just turn that down a bit. Looks like using the same software. Bit of a video game feel to it. These kind of cutout figures here. I love this. I mean, there's a music video for you. And so again, collaborating with music artists, weird grip on this one. 15 Tezos, there are 11 left, and it's an edition of 20. Of course, mech.txt. I mean, I was very tempted to start with this. This was gorgeous. So more just delightful work from mech.txt, Tall Ivory Tower and Flat Wooden Houses. I mean, there's so much great work coming out. I feel like its time will come. But this is just stunning. And again, Mech is making, it's kind of MS-DOS inspired work, but making his own little tiles here. Just like as if you were making a video game. And interestingly, using a video game type software to actually do some animation. Let's just see what Mech writes. More incremental progress. Familiarizing myself with how the tile map animation works in Godot. I assume that's the software. I imagine I could use so much stuff with it, even sans this art style. Even without this art style, I could even make the small Mech character animation in-game and do a platform game. Got me very excited. Yeah, I mean, it looks like an old PC game or Apple game. Again, it's very reminiscent of Ultima 4, lit fire, you know, and so learning how to make, how cool is that? I guess they do the logic for you, the programming logic, and look at how beautiful this is. So really fusing art and video games here in this really, really cool project from mech.txt. Just so excited. Someone asked me, messaged me, what are you most excited about? It's this. It's mech.txt right now. Here, sound on, and so I believe this music is by just more awesome made music, if you could call it that way, akin to the old earworms in those old games. I invite all you fellow 80s, 90s kids to remember the love-hate relationship we have with these kind of tunes on the Retro Times. So just teasing us with these works here. I don't think any have been minted yet, but also maybe influenced a little bit. Green Ginger, the Uncontrollable Chaos. Artists respond to other artists here, and kind of reminiscent here as well of those MS-DOS. So really just super cool. Again, kind of reminiscent of Ultima 4 in its own way, but many games, I'm sure. This is by Green Ginger, sold out, now $8.50 on primary. On secondary, let's just see how fast. About 6 or 7 hours, maybe longer, about 7 or 8 hours. So interesting. It looks great. Interesting take on it with different animation, cool frame here. And of course, Gogolitis putting out a work, edition of 30, only 50 Tezos on secondary here. And so this is Kitty Training, I think, volume 5. So the great Gogolitis at work again. Let's just see here. So yeah, that is on secondary. Let's just see sales of 33 Tezos each. So just putting it right out on the primary at 33 Tezos each. Pretty reasonable. Haiti Rockette. Let's zoom through these. We got a few Haiti Rockettes here. Video Power Neon Edition. Again, the tension of digital copies. We see it again here, and these great pixels in the screen, kind of retro tech, rad on the wall here. So here a cool kind of poster, almost like the screen is on the wall or something here. Cool edition. And cool maybe manuals here and everything. And so just playing with different versions of things. This is, to me, the essence of digital art to a certain degree, is playing with this ability to infinitely copy. And there's a weird tension because the blockchain kind of creates scarcity. So it's just a super interesting, very kind of uniquely digital topic, shall we say. Here's another one, Video Power Wildfire Edition. And here's another one, Bloody Glitch Edition. So, I mean, you could make thousands of these. These are editions of 4. Video Power Everyday Edition, kind of slightly different. And there were others too. I mean, so check out Haiti Rockette's page. Here's Son of Stag, Witch Hunt, and kind of having these kind of old horizontal pixels here, a cool kind of video game portrait. And I think this was hand animated, is how Son of Stag described it. Edition of 20. There are 18 left at 7 Tezos from SOS, Son of Stag. Big shout out. Imposter Exit Liquidity. So maybe a reference to the markets here. Maybe that's how people are seeing. Maybe that's an interpretation. You're getting your financial news courtesy of an NFT as the pump. Will it stay? If not, maybe that's just exit liquidity, as they say. Cool work here, using kind of Petsky, ASCII kind of filter, for lack of a better term, or animation. And this is an edition of 10, I believe, sold out and maybe just sent or accepted offers of 55, 60 Tezos. So nice sales there for Imposter. And continuing on, Cloud Noise, Micro Poet times 45. So this is in DJ Kuro's gallery. So nice kind of minimal, again, the computer theme here. And continuing on, we got a ton to get through here. This is Atelier 407. I have 25 isometric pieces almost ready, and I'm still going to work on the colors. I want to look at them all together and add some new palettes, then create a visual identity to promote the collection. More news coming soon. Again, an artist I discovered, I think, in Louis Osborne's collection about a year ago. Cool artist. Nice illustrator. Here's another interesting illustrator. This is Board Jose, kind of reminiscent of another artist, I think. And here you have just kind of retro tech, the Discman, everything here, chocolate milk and pancakes. And this sold for 0.1353 ETH, and Board Jose, so almost a genre unto itself. And you also think of Adelia. Contemporary illustration, I like to call that. Limbo is back on the scene, which is great to see, and almost like a trading card meets a video game here. So cool colors too, kind of a slightly different palette. Saturn Odyssey, animation about an NEC PC98 graphic adventure RPG that never existed. So of course Limbo's been doing this for a while, video games that never existed. I guess there's a soundtrack. Oh, so these could just all hang together. There's mech.t, Retromani, mech.txt. Very nice tune. Very, very nice tune. Continuing on, Turkarak, Coffee Shop Tristing. So it looks like a coffee shop. I guess I was going to say in Amsterdam, but it could be anywhere these days. And just another cool contemporary illustration from Turkarak. Totally awesome, really interesting, edgy artist. Coffee Shop Tristing. And here's Tornado Rodriguez, and we see a few of this series here. Press and hold to see your fortune. And so this is part of that kind of PFP project that Tornado was working on, as far as I understand. Maybe it's called Wheel of Fortune. Just really cool. I think that was on Solana, if I'm not mistaken. I thought this was interesting. This seems a little low res here. New Yellow, Happy Creative Coding. So a couple of creative coding works. Let me just reload this here. Yeah, I think we can get higher. Yeah, there we go. I just thought kind of interesting, right? Just new visual experiences here every day. And here's kind of like, again, these guys could hang in the same show. This is a little blurry. Let me just reload this too. So what does this remind you of? For me, it was Jasper John's Numbers series. See how it's going all over top of each other. I actually brought it up here just for us to look at. So just pretty cool. And remember this Jasper John series, 0 through 9, all kind of put on top of each other? Totally reminds me of that. He also did this version. He kind of came back to that over and over in different ways. You know, once you have your theme, often you like to go over it over and over and over again. A little blurry there. And then some other numbers doing it from a different angle here. Anyway, let's continue on here. Osborne, good morning. The world is fragile, handle with care. So some kind of current events feeling work here, some kind of big picture for a global world, for an entire world. Here's Osborne speaking to the world. The world is fragile, handle with care. A universal work that I think a lot of, anywhere around the world, you could probably understand, and very modern digital work here. Guru Hyenas, I can't remember who tweeted this out, but they picked one up of the Cybocat. And I thought that was pretty interesting work here. Original kind of animated GIF here from Guru Hyena. Martin Brook with some interesting work here. This is on mint.fun, I guess on the Ethereum chain. And this is also kind of a very low mint price edition. And so here's the work. So cool work from Martin Brook. And continuing on, another work by Martin Brook, this time on Zora. And I thought this was pretty cool too. Again, seemingly using video to and mixing it with painting in this kind of very experimental kind of, I guess, landscape. So look at that. I mean, just novel, new, right? I mean, and there's something to be said for new visual experiences, right? So very cool work from Martin Brook. More cool pixel art. Green Ginger. Dips Challenge, I mean, goes for 54 seconds. So kind of, again, this video game theme keeps cropping up. Keeps popping up. So just very interesting. And of course, a new tarot card from Manadal, Knight of Cups. Very grand looking and very nicely animated pixel artwork. Let's just see what's going on here. Offers are coming in at 6 to 7 Tezos. Renato Marini with a work. This is on Object. This is a 1 of 1 for 111 Tezos. So playing with different kind of Windows XP as Windows as framing device, and then putting different things inside of it, repurposing it. Very interesting. 111 Tezos. Datura, Snowfaults. Interesting title, Snowfaults. Nice kind of minimal work here by Datura, black and white too. Very minimal, very cool. Almost looks like, it says snowfalls. It almost looks like rain across a windshield, but maybe it's snow. Always representational a little bit with Datura. And here is, I believe this is max capacity. Let me just look. Yes, it is. Max capacity on 0.1. So let's just make that large. So interesting piece, very small, quick loop here from max capacity on 0.1. So it continues. That is on Avalanche. And here, of course, is Kurt Hustle Collective with a 13-minute work Collage of an archive of Japanese commercials from the 80s and 90s. Just give you a smidget here. So always kind of cool here. Always cool. So let's see what that is selling for. That is an edition of 5, and none have been listed yet. So interesting piece, 13 minutes long. Coda Nakazono, continuum number 162. Almost like an orbiting kind of digital animated element here. Orbiting across this kind of biomorphic metallic looking structure, almost pastel. Maybe what, who it reminds me of is Rinny Fish a little bit in the color and even in just that kind of soft pastel kind of look. Interesting. Coda Nakazono, continuum number 162. Remy, as we go into AI here, I thought this was quite beautiful. Ocean Allurement, 250, edition of 10, and 9 left. Remy, I would just maybe turn this into a 1 of 1. It looks like 1 has sold. Maybe it's too late. Pretty cool work. And again, you see how this could easily work as a screen print. Here we have AI artwork, I believe. Yes, AI art. I mean, this would work beautifully as a screen print. Great work. Santiago, Life and Art number 372. Just a little, just taking it out of the waterfall of works that are coming out of M-Props. I thought pretty nice and interesting AI art that they're producing here. And here, Infinite Yay. We haven't looked at Infinite Yay for a little while. And a cool just digital painting. Again, just AI art. If AI wasn't there, you wouldn't see a work like this, I would wager. So more cool work. White Solitude with a nice AI digital painting. And what is this called again? Solitude. Sometimes is the best society. Sometimes it is. And so here we go. Just a beautiful, really has nailed the brush strokes in AI, White Solitude. K. Dean, GM. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is actually I thought this was AI. This could be like an impressionist painting. I can't tell. Maybe because I just don't recognize the painting. If anybody knows, I mean, good question, eh? GM. This could be like, I don't know, Manet, but maybe it's an AI painting. Interesting. Looks like a newspaper. Very interesting. Danielle King, Cecilia, part of my Artists as Muse series for the upcoming Reflections exhibition at Art Matter in New York City. So I assume this will be painted with the robots. And so, again, looking forward to seeing the results there. Also by Danielle King, Still Exploring the Abandoned Mall. So I love I think Ballard called it the poetry of the abandoned shopping mall, or the poetry of the shopping mall. I grew up with that thought in my head. And yeah, we've seen Spiegel's deal with that theme. It's a beautiful theme. It's an awesome kind of dystopian theme a little bit. And here we see an old couch and an old shoe, same colors, interestingly, and some leaking, some architecture, almost like a leaky floor, as if it's all been left behind. Into the contemporary art world we go with some physical paintings. Look at this great work by Michael Pybus. Pee Wee Herman, for those that are old enough in the 80s and 90s to remember. Cool painting. Nice rendition, even like the grid underneath. Really cool. Acrylic and flash and graphite on canvas. Nice mix. It looks fantastic. 40 likes, right? If you buy physical art, you might approach that person. You might get a really good deal. Apelberger, so we've looked at some of their work before, and here is more. So, solo show with Brigade Gallery out of Copenhagen, Abel Berger. So here is some close-ups of this artist we've been looking at that uses colored pencils. Very nice work here. And here's more colored pencils. Stefan Schwarzer, who we've looked at a lot. Nice composition, nice piece. Very nice piece. Colored pencil. Polychromos auf Papier. And also, this is Louis Simo, a cool portrait here. Just stapling the canvas to the wall here. So interesting piece. And look at this. We've been looking at this artist, but I thought this was a stunner. This close-up of a dog. Mike from Los Angeles, California. Donnie O'Donnell, I think, is the artist. Beautiful. And even this framing thing on the left. The sun. It's pretty brilliant and beautiful. Mark Belden, another artist we've looked at a lot, just another beautiful piece here, kind of brown paper with these neon colors on top and this beautifully painted brown. Very nice. And Gloomtube, Astigmatism at the Drive-Thru. Now, I think the stigmata is St. Francis when he gets the stigmata, right? The Holy Spirit puts the holes in the hands. I don't know if this is related. Astigmatism, a non-stigmata at the drive-thru, not sure. But anyways, cool work from Gloomtube. Let's just see if it sold for 305 pesos. Nice sale. Very nice sale for another physical work by Gloomtube. And here's another one, Angel Ship by Tachibana. I thought another just interesting, original-looking work. There is so much great art out there, isn't it? Isn't there? Thank you for joining me. I'll try and make the next show a little shorter. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you with Tukes. Take advantage of the opportunity to hang out with Tukes tomorrow at 9:30. Until next time, take care.